Hey man, here's the thing. Most guys don't want to accept. The more you put a woman on a pedestal, the faster she'll step down and walk away from you. The brutal reality is that women become addicted to men who act like they're nothing special, not because those men are rude, arrogant, or cold, but because they never fall into the trap of worshipping her. They carry themselves with the quiet confidence of someone who knows his value, someone who refuses to let her beauty or attention cloud his judgment. This doesn't mean he's emotionless. It means he's selective with his emotions, measured with his time, and intentional with his energy. Women can't stop thinking about men like this because they're rare. Every other guy is busy bending over backwards, texting too much, agreeing to everything, and acting as if her approval is oxygen. But the man who treats her like she's human, not a goddess, forces her to wonder, why isn't he trying to impress me? What does he know that I don't? That curiosity is the seed of addiction. See, when a man doesn't act like a woman is the center of his world, it flips her internal script. She's used to men trying to prove themselves, showering her with validation, bending their boundaries just to keep her around, throwing away their own priorities to cater to hers. That's the predictable pattern she's seen her whole life. But when you disrupt that pattern, when you make it clear, subtly, not spitefully, that you have a full, rich life before she came along, and you'll have one after, her brain reacts differently. Instead of slipping into the comfort of being chased, she enters a state of pursuit. She starts looking for cracks in your armor, moments where you might slip and reveal that you want her badly, but when those moments don't come, it gnaws at her. That gnawing becomes fixation, and that fixation becomes attraction. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're holding your frame, and she can feel it. What most men fail to grasp is that acting like she's nothing isn't about disrespect. It's about neutrality, about showing through your actions that you evaluate her the same way you evaluate anyone else in your life. She doesn't get a VIP pass just because she's attractive. You're not impressed by her looks alone, because you've seen beauty before and you know it's common. What you value is depth, character, compatibility, things that take time to reveal. And that's what shakes her. She's used to her physical appeal being enough to secure instant devotion. But with you, she has to bring more to the table. She has to work for your attention. That's the shift that makes her invest emotionally, because human beings don't value what's handed to them freely. They value what they had to earn. And here's where the psychology gets interesting. Scarcity and unpredictability drive obsession. When you treat her like she's nothing special, you become scarce in a world full of men willing to sell themselves for her approval. You're unpredictable because you're not following the script she's written in her head. One day you're charming and present, the next day you're off building your own life, fully detached from her orbit. That hot and cold rhythm, when it's authentic and not manipulative, keeps her emotionally engaged. Her dopamine spikes when she gets your attention because it's rare. And rare things are addictive. Think about it. People don't crave what they can get anytime they want. They crave what's just out of reach. That's why men who aren't overly available become the ones she thinks about at night, even if she swears she doesn't care. The key is that your indifference has to be real. You can't fake this. Women are wired to detect incongruence. They'll sense if you're pretending not to care while secretly obsessing over them. True masculine indifference comes from abundance, from knowing that no matter what happens with her, your life is full, your standards are intact, and your self-worth isn't tied to whether she likes you. That's the type of man women get addicted to because he's not emotionally dependent on them. He can love her, desire her, even enjoy her deeply, but he doesn't need her. That lack of need is magnetic because it communicates that he's in control of himself, and a man who can't be controlled emotionally is the hardest man for a woman to walk away from. Here's what most guys get wrong. They think that making a woman addicted to them is about showering her with constant affection, endless attention, and being available 24/7. But that actually kills the spark. When you are always there, always ready to respond instantly, always showing that you're prioritizing her over everything else, she begins to subconsciously feel safe in the wrong way, safe enough to take you for granted. Desire thrives in uncertainty, not in comfort. Acting like she's nothing special isn't about cruelty. It's about allowing her to experience uncertainty with you. It's about her never quite knowing where she stands because you are a man with his own priorities, his own world, and his own rhythm that doesn't revolve around her. This forces her to stay engaged mentally and emotionally because she can't predict you, and unpredictability creates intrigue, which fuels attraction. When you maintain that frame, something subtle but powerful happens. She starts chasing your validation instead of the other way around. She'll dress a little better when she knows she's going to see you. She'll laugh harder at your jokes, even when they're not your best. She'll bring up topics she thinks you'll find interesting just to keep your attention longer. And the more she works to earn your approval, the deeper her investment grows. This is one of the reasons why the men who don't overpraise or constantly reassure her end up with women who are more emotionally hooked. She's not addicted to the man who hands her validation on a silver platter. She's addicted to the man who makes her earn it, because every bit of praise from him feels like gold. You also have to understand that when you act like she's nothing special, you trigger something primal in her, the instinct to prove herself to a man she perceives as high value. Women are competitive by nature when it comes to securing a man they respect. If she senses that you're not impressed by her just because of her looks, she'll dig deeper into her arsenal, charm, wit, nurturing behaviors, and emotional connection to try to win you over. That process is what bonds her to you. She's investing effort, and the human brain is wired to value what it invests in. By staying grounded and unimpressed by superficial things, you naturally filter for women who are willing to bring more to the table. The ones who aren't will fall away, and that's exactly what you want. There's also the reality that women are more drawn to men who appear to have options. When you act like she's nothing special, you communicate, without saying a word, that you could be with someone else if you wanted to. This doesn't mean you talk about other women or try to make her jealous in an obvious way. It means your demeanor says, "I'm here because I choose to be, not because I can't do better." That quiet confidence is intoxicating to a woman because it removes the dynamic of desperation. She knows she can't take you for granted because deep down she senses that if she pushes too far or disrespects your boundaries, you'll simply walk away without hesitation. That knowledge keeps her on her toes, and it's part of what makes you unforgettable to her. Now, some men will hear this and think, so I should just ignore her? Absolutely not. This is not about stonewalling or playing games, it's about balance. You give her your time, your presence, and even your affection, but on your terms, not hers. You show up in a way that's genuine, but you never hand over the steering wheel of the relationship. When she realizes that she can't control you with beauty, emotions, or manipulation, she starts to respect you. And once a woman respects you, attraction naturally deepens. But if you give her control too early, if you treat her like a queen without her having earned that treatment, she'll eventually feel bored, and boredom is the enemy of desire. The addiction forms because you become the emotional high she can't predict. Every interaction with you feels like it matters. She doesn't know if you'll give her deep eye contact and pull her in close, or if you'll be too busy living your life to give her more than a quick conversation. And when you do give her your undivided attention, it means something, because it's not constant. This scarcity of presence amplifies its value. Think of it like a rare wine. If you could drink it every day without limit, it wouldn't feel as special. But if you can only get it occasionally, you savor every sip. That's exactly how your attention works when you refuse to treat her as if she's the only thing that matters. And here's a truth, few will admit, women respect men who can walk away at any time. Not just say they can, but actually walk away if they have to. That ability to detach is rooted in self-respect and a life that's fulfilling without her. When she senses that you're the type of man who will never cling, never beg, and never lose himself to keep her around, it changes the dynamic entirely. She starts to feel like she's the one holding on to something rare, because she is, and in her mind, she knows that if she messes it up, you won't be the one suffering the loss, she will. That thought alone is enough to keep her invested. One of the most powerful elements of this mindset is that it naturally screens out low-quality women, the ones who are only there for validation, free attention, or to feed their ego will get frustrated and leave when they realize you're not playing into their hands. And good, let them leave. Because the woman who stays, the one who keeps coming back, is the one who's genuinely interested in you, not just the way you make her feel about herself. By treating her like she's not the center of your universe, you force her to reveal her true intentions. It's the ultimate filter for authenticity. When you operate from this place of strength, you're not just controlling the pace of the interaction, you're controlling the frame of the relationship entirely. The frame is the invisible structure that determines who is leading and who is following, and in attraction dynamics, the one who holds the frame is the one who gets pursued. Women are used to setting the frame by default. They're accustomed to men bending their schedules, their priorities, and even their personalities to keep them happy. But when you hold the frame, you send a very different message. I am the constant, you are the variable. And that turns the tables completely. She now finds herself wondering how to fit into your life, rather than expecting you to mold yourself to hers. This subtle psychological reversal is intoxicating because it creates a pursuit dynamic that she's not consciously aware of, but deeply feels. Another thing that happens when you act like she's not the most important thing in your life is that you remain unpredictable. Predictability kills attraction because it removes emotional tension. When she knows exactly when you'll call, exactly what you'll say, and exactly how you'll react, she stops feeling that rush of adrenaline when you interact. But when you have your own life, your own rhythm, and your own sense of purpose, she can't quite pin you down. This unpredictability creates emotional spikes, little surges of excitement that make her think about you when you're not around. And the more she thinks about you in your absence, the deeper she falls into the cycle of craving your presence again. This is why some men barely have to chase. Their absence is powerful enough to keep her attention. The irony is, the more you genuinely live your life without obsessing over her, the more she will obsess over you. A man who is deeply invested in his mission, his fitness, his social circle, his growth, and his ambitions becomes like a magnet to a woman. Not because he's trying to make her jealous or play games, but because she sees he is self-sufficient and complete without her. That completeness is rare. Most men seek women to fill a void in their lives, but when you don't have that void, you stand out. You become the man she can't manipulate with emotional bait, because you don't need her to feel whole. And when she realizes that, she starts needing you more, because you represent something she can't easily find elsewhere: stability without dependence. There's also a deeper layer to this. Acting like she's not everything to you challenges her ego. Many women are used to walking into a room and instantly being adored, complimented, and catered to. When she meets a man who isn't impressed just because she exists, it shakes her self-image in a good way. It forces her to earn his interest, to dig deeper into who she is beyond her appearance. And as she tries to win him over, she invests more energy, thought, and emotion into the connection. This investment is what forges attachment. She doesn't just want you because you're attractive or charismatic. She wants you because she worked for you. And the human mind is wired to value what it earns far more than what it's given freely. Now, here's where the addiction truly cements itself. She starts measuring herself against your standards. Because you haven't placed her on a pedestal, she's always trying to live up to the image of the woman she thinks you would fully choose. This could be in how she dresses, how she behaves, or how she communicates with you. She becomes hyper-aware of her actions around you because she doesn't want to risk losing your interest. This mental pressure, though subtle, keeps you in her thoughts constantly. And the more she thinks about you, the more she feels you're an essential part of her emotional world, even if she can't quite explain why. This is why women can get hooked on men who don't smother them. The mental loop never fully closes, so the craving remains. And let's not forget, scarcity is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. The less available you are, the more valuable you seem. If she knows that your time is limited and you won't just drop everything to see her, each moment she gets with you becomes more meaningful. This doesn't mean you play artificial scarcity games. It means you genuinely have a full life that keeps you busy. When you're truly selective with your time, people feel it. Women especially feel it because they're wired to value men who are selective. It signals status, self-respect, and discipline. When she knows she can't monopolize your attention, she works harder to earn it, and in doing so, she invests herself more deeply into the connection. Here's the ultimate truth. Acting like she's not everything to you forces her to become more for you. The women who truly want to be with you will rise to meet your standards. The ones who don't will fall away. Either way, you win. You end up with relationships that are built on mutual respect and genuine attraction, rather than neediness and obligation. And over time, she will not just be addicted to your presence, she'll be addicted to the version of herself she becomes when she's with you. That's the most powerful form of attraction, because it's not about what you give her, it's about who she feels she is around you. And that, more than anything else, is why women get hooked on men who act like they're nothing special. When a woman starts feeling this shift, when she realizes that she's putting in more effort than you are, her mind doesn't frame it as he's ignoring me or he's being distant. Instead, she frames it as you must be worth it. This is one of the most fascinating aspects of attraction psychology. The more energy someone invests into another person, the more they justify that investment in their own mind. If she's thinking about you, planning around you, dressing for you, and subtly competing for your attention, her brain will convince her that you're an incredibly high-value man, even if you haven't said a single flattering word. This is why the men who hold back from over-investing often end up being remembered the most. They allow her to do the work of building her own emotional attachment. Over time, this pattern becomes addictive because it's laced with uncertainty. She never quite knows how much you like her, and that unknown drives her wild inside. You've probably heard of the saying, mystery creates attraction, and it's 100% true. When she can't fully read you, she fills in the blanks with her own imagination, and the mind will always create a version of you that is more ideal, more exciting, and more irresistible than reality could ever consistently provide. This imaginative version of you becomes the man she craves, and she associates that craving with you, even though it's a mix of reality and projection. That's why so many women obsess over men who don't overshare their emotions. It gives her mind endless room to wonder and want more. The key here is that you don't fake this energy, you truly embody it. There's a massive difference between pretending you're busy and actually living a life that's too rich to be consumed by one woman. If you fake it, she'll eventually sense the cracks. But when it's real, when you have passions, goals, hobbies, friends, and commitments that demand your attention, she will feel the authenticity of your selective energy. And authenticity is magnetic. It's the difference between playing games and being the game. You become the man who naturally doesn't orbit around women, and that's exactly the type of man who women end up orbiting around instead. The long-term effect of this is powerful. Even if she tries to walk away, even if she tells herself she's done, even if months pass, she will never fully forget you. Because you didn't just give her attention, you gave her an emotional experience. You gave her the thrill of uncertainty, the rush of pursuit, and the satisfaction of small victories when she earned your time. That cocktail of emotions is far more addictive than constant validation. And here's the kicker, when she meets other men after you, she will subconsciously compare them to you. Most of them will be too available, too eager, too open, and she'll feel that something is missing, even if she can't articulate it. That something is you. In the end, this is the quiet secret that most men never realize. Women get addicted to the men who act like they're nothing, because those men allow space for her to step forward, to chase, to invest, and to wonder. You're not feeding her with endless validation, you're letting her hunger grow until she craves only you. You're not lowering yourself to prove your worth, you're holding your position so she can rise to meet you. And when she does, the bond is stronger, the attraction is deeper, and the desire is almost impossible for her to let go of. This isn't arrogance, and it's not cruelty. It's simply the power of being a man who knows that his value is non-negotiable. And in a world where most men hand over their power for the smallest scrap of attention, that alone makes you unforgettable.